meeting to order. At 6:03. Roll call, please.
Mr. Kuderick?
Present.
Ms. Balls?
Here.
Ms. Kraut?
Here.
Mr. Thede is absent, excused. Ms. Funderburg?
Here.
Ms. Beard?
Here.
Ms. Buckley is here.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is the consent agenda. And you have an amended agenda before you, and the reason it is amended is because of something that is in the consent agenda, and it was just the wording at the very bottom where it says transportation, or actually it says teacher resignation, and the name at the very bottom, and it should read transportation manager resignation. That's the only change. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine in nature by the Board of Education and will be acted upon by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items. If any member of the board or any citizen requests discussion of an item, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will become the first item of business under the report of the superintendent portion of the agenda. Item A, approval. To approve the minutes of the Board of Education of the special meeting of September 18th, 2013. Regular meeting of September 23rd, 2013. Special meeting of September 25th, 2013. Regular meeting of October 14th, 2013. To approve the personnel actions as submitted by Rebecca Peck, Director of Human Resources. Employment of a teacher, a substitute aide, a self-contained teacher, a bus driver, another bus driver, a special education teacher, a bus aide, a substitute aide, transportation manager resignation, and then I believe this should have been C, was approval to approve the bills of payment as submitted by Paula Daniels, superintendent, in the amount of $2,841,320.47. Can I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Support.
Discussion.
Motion made by Ms. Funderburg, supported by Mrs. Kraut. Mr. Kudrick?
Yes, on the transportation manager, is there a severance package for that individual? And if so, what is that?
No, their contract does not include a severance package.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, I have a question as well. I already know the answer, but just for clarification of why we're seeing the transportation manager resignation now as opposed to in November, on November 1st.
The transportation manager position was eliminated, so that was done through a layoff. This particular individual has chosen to resign from the position, as they'll be taking on a position with Durham prior to the effective layoff. So you shouldn't see very many more of these, if any, because that's the uniqueness of the situation.
Are there any other questions? Okay, I have a motion again on the floor by Mrs. Funderburg, supported by Mrs. Kraut. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. The next item on our agenda was report of the superintendent. Dr. Daniels?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
The first item that I'd like to have some official direction on, we had at our last special meeting, we had a presentation by ABM, and that was a company that, goes through and helps us out with infrastructure. And one of the steps in the process is to go through and kind of do a walkthrough and an audit of what we have going on in our buildings, so that then they can come back and let us know if they feel that the services that they provide can actually save us money or not. But I would just like a formal, approval to go on and allow them to conduct the walkthrough.
We need a motion on that?
Yes, could I please have a motion in regards to ABM?
Madam Chair, I'd make a motion that we approve ADM to do the walkthrough for the data collection.
Support.
Discussion.
Motion made by Mr. Kudrick, supported by Mrs. Buckley. I'm going to read the,
Actually, it was Daniel.
I'm sorry. Motion made by Mr. Kudrick, supported by Mrs. Funderburg. Go ahead, Mrs. Crowe.
The only question that I have is that, they understand that we don't have any funds available right now, that unless they can help us get a grant or something to pay for it, that we can't make any changes anyway.
Yeah, that's a part of the whole
Program.
package, yes, it is.
I have a question, and I meant to ask this at the presentation, but is the Inkster High School going to also be in this particular procedure when they're checking the infrastructures and the upgrades? Will that school be included as well, that building?
We're gonna ask them to take a look at it.
Okay.
I don't know that we would do any,
Well, I mean, if there were any renovations, I would think
Yeah,
that
I
we
don't-
would.
yeah, I don't know that we're gonna do any renovations,
Okay.
but just as a part of the walkthrough, so they can just kind of give us some information.
Okay.
Madam Chair,
Go
just
ahead,
a
Mr. Kudrick.
side note on that, when we had the meeting, Mr. Steed, myself, and Dr. Daniels, we brought up that question, and their tentative, what they're gonna do is bring the stuff, and they're gonna include Inkster, then the Inkster High School, they're gonna send us one without it, so we can see the differences of what it is. So that way, they're gonna check it, but they're gonna give us Inkster separate, the high school separate, so we can decide for ourselves, but they're mainly
Okay.
gonna, so it's gonna be, they're gonna check it, it's just, they're not gonna include it in the whole bid, it's gonna be on the side note, and if we wanna add it, then it's gonna be that many dollars added to it.
Okay.
My question is, I would like to find out, what's the point of us actually doing the walkthrough, when in fact we don't know yet if we're gonna be, approved for the grant? Why not wait to see if we're approved for the grant first, and then they can do the walkthrough, and then we can get the proposals? That was my main question, and then I do remember, I do remember also that DTE used to do something very similar to this as well, too. So I'm wondering, has anybody taken the initiative to kind of compare what they're bringing to the table with the services that DTE also render the citizens of Romulus as well?
Do you want me to answer that, Doctor?
Most
Okay,
definitely.
first of all, I mean, the question with DTE, when we had an energy manager, I myself brought information here to the prior superintendent, gave it to him with all information of how they could get some E-grants and everything for redoing the lightings, and nothing ever transpired, and DTE's kind of stepped back from some of that. Why we're doing this before, it's a good question. The reason they're doing it before to go through is to find out how much we're gonna need on that grant. So if they don't go through the building and find out exactly what it is that we need, this company is guaranteed that if they go through and say it's X amount of dollars, that's all we're gonna have to pay. If they find out that they forgot to include a series of lights, we're not gonna get a change order saying, well, hey, they forgot a whole hallway of lights. They're gonna eat that price.
We
They've
don't
made that
pay
pretty,
up front either.
right.
don't
And
pay
the
The
thing
pay, what we
is,
pay comes out of what we save from
well,
those things,
it,
correct?
it does there, but the reason for them to go through the building first is to inspect the building, to find out where the potential savings are. Now, this company's also told us that even if they do go through the building and they do put their devices, monitoring devices in for the lights and electric and water and heat and everything, it doesn't guarantee that they're gonna be able to come up with any savings for us. So it's giving them the data so they can give it to us. They may say, there's nothing we can do for you folks, and there's not a dime out of our pocket. They may come back and say, if we put X amount of dollars in our infrastructure, we can save this much annually off our utility bills. And with the savings off of our utility bills pays the energy grant and also gives us money back into our general fund. So we're not taking any money, we're not asking the public for any millages, no increase, no tax increases at all on it. So it's already in our general fund, in our budget each year, what our utility bills are. So it'll actually save us if they can do anything, so.
But what's the point of only having one particular company? How come we don't have more than one?
Well,
It'll go out for
the
bid.
the thing is, when they come in with the one company, they're gonna come in and do the data. They asked if they can come in and do the data. Nobody else has. They're gonna come back to us and tell us, and correct me, Dr. Daniels, if I'm wrong, they're gonna come back to us and tell us, hey, this is where we need to save. This is, if you do your lighting, this is where you can save. Then we have to send notices of bids out to every, put it at public notice. Now, when we select the bids, 3 or 4 companies can bid on it, whatever, whoever wants to bid on it, they can bid on it. And they sent the bids in, we select the best bid that we think we're gonna get the most bang for our buck. Now, it doesn't guarantee that they're gonna get the bid, they're aware of that. We could give it to Joe's company, Bill's company, whatever, but ADM's coming in and they're gonna have the data, so their bids are probably gonna be a lot better. They guarantee that if they say it's X amount of dollars, they're not gonna come back 2 weeks later and say, well, we forgot $5,000 worth of work we've gotta do. So they've gotta make sure their I's are dotted or T's are crossed. So versus some of the other ones we had, like Barton Mallow, where some of the other former board members tell you too, or veteran board members here, that, they come up, a lot of times you get change orders. They're guaranteed there's no change orders. So we're not gonna get added more money to it.
And then one of the other things that they said at the presentation was that if they give us a monetary amount on how much we're supposed to save, so say that number is $10,000, if we don't save that, they give us a check of the difference, so.
They'll do that for the next 3 years.
3 years.
And the time doesn't start until the job is completed.
Complete.
So if it takes 6 months, it's after that 6 months period, that's when the warranty starts, and for every year after that, if we don't save what they've predicted, they will reimburse us the difference.
And then they'll come in and actually make whatever adjustments we need to why they're not, because they said for them, it works that we don't want to have to cut you a check every time you're not saving. So they will come in and actually fix whatever's not rendering the savings that they projected.
I think the only other question that I had once I did a little research on it is I saw that it had only been accredited through the Better Business Bureau since May 1st of 2013, and that kind of
They were known by another name before.
That's what I was trying to find out more information on that. What was the name of the company?
Link. And we actually talked to some other boards this weekend, because we were at a conference in Lansing, and boards had used them when they were Link,
Is it,
and experienced the same kind of savings that they're telling us that we're gonna get.
is it Link Mechanical? Or?
I'm not sure. They just told us that their name was Link before it was ABM. And actually, they told us that in the presentation, too.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion by Mr. Kudrick, supported by Mrs. Funderburg, that the Board of Education grant permission to ABM to conduct the preliminary engineering study of Romulus Community School buildings. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries 5-1.
Okay, try to give you a little deficit elimination plan update. When we heard from the Department of Education, and again, we have not received a formal approval nor anything formal where they did not approve it. However, we received a communication with some additional questions. And we've had an opportunity to go through and address the questions that they had. They were regarding some incoming transfers, Renaissance Zone funding, and some questions that they had about some proposed staff layoffs that we had. We were able to, pull that information together. The question, though, or the concern that they had that continues to be probably our greatest challenge is that in the deficit elimination plan for the coming year, we put in that we were maintaining the same enrollment that we have currently. Based upon, or in light of the fact that we've been losing students, they were concerned whether or not we would be able to continue to do so. One of the things that, we've talked about with the board before and, had put in place was the understanding on our need for aggressively marketing the things that we're doing well and going after ensuring that we can maintain our students and then recruit additional students. So putting together a solid plan for that they will be able to see our ability to maintain and attract students is going to be critical. From A to Z, we're going to have to, make sure that happens. From, one end of the spectrum to the other, but that's going to be an absolute critical piece for us to be able to ensure that, we're able to go forward and with a plan that will be acceptable. You know, as I've talked about, we want to try to do everything that we can to make Romulus a destination district, which means any issues that we may have or problems, we go after them and get them corrected and make sure that everyone understands the great things that we have going on in the school district. We are continuing to fine-tune the number of students that, you know, we've got, you know, from Inkster, and as I shared in our update, we're just trying to make sure that any students who are allowable, that we're able to count them. So that we're still trying to, you know, make sure that we leave no stone unturned in that. Some of the programs that we have that we know are good programs, we want to make sure that we're going forward and highlighting them so that others know about it, you know about what we're doing well. But that is one of the major concerns, you know, that I know that the department has. Rebecca, did they share any other things when you've talked to them? You know, that was about it? Okay, so.
Their biggest concern is that we're not going to be able to maintain our current enrollment. So the response that we're giving them is everything that Dr. Daniels had mentioned and more, so.
Now, when do they sign up again for the new college program, so that we know if that's going to be increasing and be successful like we had hoped?
The application process, I believe, begins again in January.
And we're also, in addition to those who will be able to go into our next cohort, we're also really trying to talk to, you know, our middle school and even our fifth graders so that they start seeing that as an option that they're working, you know, toward also, because we really want it to be a program that everyone sees that they have an opportunity to get there and to start looking at that as a goal.
I was just going to ask if you could repeat the questions that they had. I have the Renaissance Zone student count questions, and there were one or two others.
Incoming revenue?
Let's see, where was I? The incoming transfers, Renaissance Zone funding, and staff layoffs.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
We were able to, the plan that we submitted had made enough improvement in it so that we were able to receive our October state aid payment. You know, now we're trying to get it together so that we can get our November state aid payment, but we were able to receive the October, which was a good sign, that we were moving in the right direction. And as I said, the biggest concern is the enrollment coming up. So that's going to be one of the things that we have to make sure that we go forward with all due haste and unity. So, but that's kind of where we are there. Okay. All right. The next item, you know, we had received an offer for our Beverly Road property, and this is not the property where we have a building. This property is down closer to Middle Belt. It's where the old Hayti used to be, and it's a little strip. And the offer that we received was 20% of what the asking price was. So that's a real steep cut there. So what I'm looking for now is some direction from the board, if you would like to just, you know, decline that offer, or if you would like to counter offer, and if we would like to counter, at what price. And I'll go forward with that and give our realtor some instruction.
Madam Chair?
Mr. Kudrick?
Okay. Dr. Daniels, on this motion that you have here, you said the property of the same size are selling on average between 17 and 19,000 per acre. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So, and what they're offering us is approximately $8,300 an acre.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand the process of buying property. I mean, when you want to bid on something, you're going to give them the lowest price and you haggle back and forth. But if the property is selling at 19, from where that property is and looking at, that's all industrial around there. There's a couple waste removal companies right in that area. There's Candy Industrial that does sludge removal that I'm aware of, and a few other ones. So I'd be very curious. It's one of them industrial people probably want to expand their property, but if you're saying the property is going at 19,000 an acre,
In that general area, that's what it's
I would
been
say
doing.
start at the 19.
That's what I've had down.
I mean, that's gonna
182.
give about approximately 162 if they bite off on it, which they
Okay.
probably aren't, but
Right.
Yeah,
at least start there.
And I agree with
I
the
agree with
counter
that.
offer.
Yeah.
I agree with the counteroffer too.
I guess, just in thinking, some of the things that I thought about was, well, it's not in our depth anyway, so, I mean, it's been sitting there. It can sit a little longer. They need to at least pay fair market value for what the land is worth instead of us getting ripped off for it. And I think that it should start at the 19,000 and we can work our way from there. So if that's what the going market is per acre, we have 9.58 acres at $19,000, which would be $182,020. So I say start there.
Okay, you have two topic sheets in front of you. One was to decline the offer, and the other one is to submit a counter offer. So if this is the board's desire, then I need some motions.
Madam Chair, I move that the Board of Education submit a counteroffer of $182,020 for the Beverly Road property.
Support.
Discussion.
Motion made by Mrs. Funderburg, supported by Mrs. Buckley. Mrs. Kraut.
It's listed for $383,000, and our Realtor has suggested $191,600 is what we counter offer. So I'm wondering why we're not listening to the professionals and going with their recommendation. I mean, they can always come back and we can go back again for less. And I'm wondering if more people in the area learn about that strip, that maybe 2 or 3, well, I'd like this 2 acres, and I'd like this 3 acres, and we might come out ahead.
The concern would be access to the, if we're gonna break it up.
No, but I'm saying that there's people on the sides, it looks like,
Okay.
that off of,
Okay, I see what you're saying.
that they could
Split.
split it with the neighbors and utilize it, that way also. Yeah, but instead of just one neighbor buying it, maybe 2 or 3 would decide, hey, we could use this property and split it.
So Sandy, what would that come off per acre?
It says $20,000 an acre is what they recommended. $191,600. It's on the,
The update.
Oh, I don't have the update in front of me. I couldn't remember what it was.
Where did we come up with the 19,000 then?
Versus when we listed the average selling
No,
price was
in the
17.
rationale, it says the average
change
selling
it to
price
20.
between 17 and 19,000. How did we come up with that?
That was what the Realtor gave us.
That's what, so the realtor gave you the between 17 and 19, and they also
Is
gave you,
what the area is.
but then they also told you 20,000 too.
it's what, that's what they're saying is what it's been selling for.
Right.
But they're not offering it, people haven't been offering it for that.
Right.
And we're gonna offer, and they're gonna come back with a counteroffer even less, is what I'm trying to say.
Right,
So then you're saying set it for 20 as opposed to 19?
That makes sense.
right,
Now I understand where she's coming from, okay.
yeah.
All right, so that we have to
We'd
make a
have to change,
counteroffer.
we'd have to change the motion.
So, right, so we need to,
Amend the motion.
Hold on.
I need a motion to,
What's that
Well,
come up to?
she's
Amend.
Danielle's gotta amend the motion she made.
Yeah,
right,
she's figuring out how
Dollar
much it
amount.
is.
What's on the, here, I have
It's
this.
on the weekly thing that was given out by the superintendent.
191,600.
yeah.
So I amend the motion to $191,600.
So we're gonna say 20,000 an acre is what we're,
Yes.
And that's reducing it to half what we were originally asking for.
Yeah, I think
That's what it,
that's a good point.
wasn't the property appraised about 2 years ago? Or was it a couple of years ago when it was appraised?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor by Mrs. Funderburk, supported by Mrs. Buckley, and amended to read, that the Board of Education submit a counter offer of $191,600 for the Beverly Road property. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 6-1. 6-0, I'm sorry.
No,
Thinking one's gone, one's gone. Now, do we have to do the motion to decline the offer, your first offer?
No.
Okay,
That one was just if you decided you didn't want to do anything
do anything at
else.
all, okay.
Okay, and so we good on that one?
Yeah.
All right, well, I'll give them a call tomorrow. So they can go forward. We've had a number of questions that have come up regarding the summer tax collection, and I wanted to just kind of give you an update. You know, our interpretation had been, you know, during the Truth and Taxation meeting that we held in June, that, you know, we were finished with what we had to do. However, there was another step that we needed to do as a result of consultation with our legal counsel. And they indicated that, you know, we have an agreement with the city of Romulus on the manner in which the taxes are collected. And included in that, it talked about the twice a year. In order to modify that, it requires a 90-day lead-in window to make the change unless both parties agree for a shorter time frame. In our contact with the city, you know, we'd been advised by the current administration that they would not move on anything, so we would have to wait until the new administration came in order for us to deviate from the contract that we had. This would place us into December, and we just didn't feel that that was going to be enough time to provide the proper notification to the residents regarding the change. As a result, we've determined that at this time, the district will continue with the twice per year tax collection as is indicated in the agreement that we currently have with the city, and that the change to the one-time per year tax collection agreement will not be made until June 2014, which means the summer tax collection of the one time a year will not happen until the summer of 2015. We also, you know, just checked around, and all of our surrounding districts, they also do the one-time summer tax collection. The reason that we do that is primarily because if we collect that revenue in the summer, that means it will help us with how much money we may have to borrow over the course of the summer, because the tax, our state aid payment does not come in until October. And as a result, we would save the amount of interest on that money that we have to borrow. So, that's our attempt to try to do another one to be more fiscally responsible. But again, because of the agreement that we have and our ability to modify it, has been pushed back. We thought that it was prudent to make sure that in June 2014 we go forward, but then the actual tax collection of the one time a year will not happen until the summer of 2015.
That means that the winter taxes of 2014 will not be collected then?
They will be.
No, winter of 2014.
No, 14 will be.
They
15.
won't
Yeah.
collect them then, they'll collect it,
No, they'll be collected.
they'll
Like
collect
the
half winter
15.
2014.
Yeah.
And then in the summer, they're gonna collect the whole amount for
It will be
2015.
it will
Okay.
be the winter 15 that would not be.
Question, I just want to make sure I clarify what Dr. Daniel said. I don't like paying taxes any more than anybody else does. But from what I'm understanding here, we cannot do the summer tax collection in 2014 because the city of Romulus is going through an election and they don't want to make a decision because they're afraid they're not going to be there, or it might affect their voting or how people vote, which in turn actually affects on how much money the school district has to borrow to make it through the summer times, which potentially is a savings for the district, correct?
I'm not sure what all the motivation is.
So basically,
I
the city
really
not
don't
doing
know
it is
that.
really affecting us on possibly saving money.
Well, a part of, our ability to do it at this point means that, we had to come up with an agreement because of the 90 days. But as I said, I'm not sure what the motivation is.
But they won't do it
I
because
just
they're
know
an
that-
election year.
Well, I just know that what we're looking to do, though, is to be as responsible as we can, and, and it's clear.
It really sounds like working together, doesn't it?
Have we already sent out the notices telling people that this is the change that's coming through?
The only thing that went out was when Stacy Page made the announcement for us at the city council meeting. We had flyers that were ready to go, but we had not put them out yet.
Because even 90 days, I mean, the summer tax is July 1st, payable through September 15th or 14th, and 90 days is only 3 months, so you could still have time to do it the first of the year, and it would be on the summer bill.
Right. I guess what I'm hearing is that once the new administration, whether it takes effect in November,
November 20th is the
That-
inauguration.
we'll miss our window because there's a certain time that we have to notify in December to let them know. So it's longer than 90 days. So if they're not waiving that 90 days
Right.
to allow us to collect just in the summertime, then we miss that deadline.
They don't want to waive their 90 days. Why? Because elections next week, probably?
Yeah, probably have to ask
This
them.
is, I mean, I live in this community. I pay taxes just like everybody else sitting at this table, board members and a lot of people in the community here. But, I don't like the idea of having to pay all my taxes at one time either. But then the understanding of where it's actually saving the district money and it saves the taxpayers money by doing this, it's really showing an effect of how the city wants to work with the school district. And the elected officials on that side of the street want to work. It's really sad that they come over there and badmouth us about not doing something and not wanting to work, but yet we need help on doing something. They don't want to say yes or no because, well, next Tuesday somebody might get mad and not vote for me and I won't have my job.
Well, one other
They're
thing,
lucky
though,
I'm sitting at the table because I'd like to say something unprofessional right now.
but the one thing, too, that I want to make sure that we're real clear on, it is not an increase in taxes. It's not an increase at all. So that was another thing we wanted to make sure that we
Right.
made clear.
I guess my concern, seeing that we're in the thick of the depth, is how this impacts. Because we were using that as a potential savings for the debt elimination plan, and so this sets us back
Yes, it
at least
does.
$150,000.
Money
To,
will have to be
to,
recovered.
Yes.
yeah, so that's
That's
kind
absolutely
of my
correct.
concern.
That's absolutely correct.
So was that in the 2014-15 DEP, or is it in our,
It's the
It was in
14th.
13, 14,
it's in
and
13,
14.
14? It's been
Oh,
both?
suppose.
So, okay.
So we gotta
Yep.
replace that,
Yep.
Yes, we do.
and the state's not playing with us.
Nope.
No. Okay, thank you.
All righty,
And that's it for me.
all righty then.
So just to clarify, the change to the one-time per year summer tax collection agreement will be made in June 2014 to be implemented in summer of 2015.
It's
Just-
proposed to be implemented, if we're
Supposed-
still
right.
here.
Right.
Let me ask you this, just so, will we have to revote, take another vote? Because we'll have to have another hearing and the whole nine. So we'll have to
Yes.
pretty much,
Yes,
we're starting
start
from
over.
scratch.
starting over.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
But is there a chance that we could submit it in, like, December 1st? And get it in?
But they're not willing to,
No, they are inaugurated on November 20th.
but
They
we
can't-
have to give a 90-day notice to the city
Unless they consent to do the waiver.
unless they consent to do the waiver.
So,
And if they did consent to do the waiver, then, and we'll just play that scenario out, say December 1st,
Try
Dr.
it,
Daniels
and
and the
then if we
mayor get
aren't
together and they
successful,
agree
But
to
actually,
it.
I
They
think
said
they
they're
have
not
to
going
have, they have to have the notice before December 1st, though, because
But go
they
ahead.
put their tax bills out
Right,
after,
they're not, right.
right.
Our
And that
obligation,
Summer
from the
tax
school
is July
district
1st.
is that we have to
But for
notify.
the winter taxes this year.
Well, the winter taxes have to be half, because they only collected half in the summer. So we can't, they're already set. In order to get the rest of it, we have to get the other half.
Right.
We're
It's the
talking about
14,
next year.
the 14 taxes,
Okay.
not 13.
Ms. Peck,
13's still
Right.
gonna be paid in December.
Right,
Ms. Peck
Right.
was,
I'm
go
sorry.
ahead and
Go
finish.
ahead.
So, but our obligation as a school district is that we have to notify people by January 1st in order for us to make that change to the tax collection. So if we played that scenario out and say December 1st, Dr. Daniels and the mayor got together and they agreed, we still have to do like a truth in taxation type hearing. We have to do a public hearing. That would push us into mid-December, and
Right. It
That's
doesn't
just
give
not
you
enough.
ample time to
Who
communicate.
from the city said they wouldn't do it?
the office of the
The,
mayor.
the office of the mayor? I mean, what does he care? He's not even running for reelection either.
Well,
So it's,
you know, I can't speak for him on that,
I'm not,
but,
I don't want you to speak for him, but I just don't want to see the reasoning behind it. I mean,
I don't think we can answer that.
Yeah, we could
unreal.
sit and speculate, but
Well, we all can speculate, that's
just
for sure.
disappointing all the way around.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is the superintendent evaluation instrument.
Madam Chair, I don't know if you want to deviate or not, but I know there was some residents that had questions about tax. Maybe that might be a good time to lead into them.
Sure,
It's up to
I
you.
can do that. I have one form up here in regards to the school taxes, and this would be Mr. Joe, I'm sorry, Kochanowski. We ask if you step up to the mic, please.
Good evening.
Good evening.
You got to turn it on the top,
Is it
button on the
on?
top.
Sounded like it was on.
Sounded like it was on.
There you go.
Good evening. Joe Kochanowski, live on 16235 Hannon. Been here for 50-some years, and I'd like some information on why the board is wanting to change from a single, our usual twice-a-year collection to a single. And I kind of believe it's going to be a hardship to a lot of people, because where are we going to get this extra money from, all in a big lump sum, to pay that tax? Now, you're saying you'll save some money by doing this, but it's gonna cost us money, because we may have to go out and borrow money to pay those taxes. So somebody else is gonna have to pay. And there's, I think, a lot of people in Romulus that just are gonna have a lot of difficulty with this. Can you tell me why I hear you're saying you're gonna save money, and that's the reason for doing this. But what are we gonna do and everyone else gonna do to come up with that money? Have you thought of that?
We only get 11 state aid payments, so we have a month that we're without. So what we have to do if we don't have the money is borrow it and pay interest.
Correct.
Where if we collected the tax once a year instead of in two pieces, we would have that money and not have to borrow. So the taxpayer will be paying so many meals. I think, is it 18 meals a year?
No, that's the,
I think it's that much.
Totally different.
Like, whatever the school meals are,
Right.
you would
It's
still
0
pay,
point
like now you're
something,
paying
1 point.
X amount of school meals a year, you would still pay the same thing.
That's correct.
You just have to pay it in the summer,
Right,
and then you would have a much reduced tax bill in the winter.
but we have to come up with that money for summer.
And
And
that
will
was,
you, will you and a lot of the other people be able to come up with this extra money to pay that double tax?
Well-
And we also, along with living here a long time, we have a business in town. You guys hit me with $50,000 worth of taxes every year. So I'm gonna have to come up with another extra 25,000 when it comes time to pay that tax bill. That's pretty tough. That means go to the bank, borrow money. How much are we gonna pay? We're paying interest that you're saving, but we're paying. So it's costing us extra to pay our taxes, for you to save money. So where are we? School's saving money, but where are the people?
And,
If you can
and,
kinda
and I
follow my-
personally had a problem with it because I know that a lot of low-income seniors use that homestead credit to pay their taxes in the winter. And so it was a very difficult
It's-
decision for me to make.
You know, I heard for quite a few that it's gonna be a problem from their end, and they just, Can't see a good reason for it. It's been going along with the two collections for years and years and years. If you guys can just maybe stretch a few things, cut a few things on your budget some places and just leave it alone, we have a whole lot of happier people in town. Thank you very much.
I
Thank you,
think
sir.
part of our reasoning too was that we were trying to give the residents enough time, like way in advance, so in order, like someone like me and my mother-in-law is a senior citizen and my other family members that have to pay, that would give them time enough to try to put those funds away. And it's hard to say, I understand, I understand that, because, you know, we all have that same issue, but it would just, with our deficit elimination plan and just trying to save money wherever we could, and we thought if we give the citizens enough time, that would help them to be able to save, to be able to do that bill. That was our rationale.
Right. And-
Well, in my mind, that was our rationale.
Right, and we've talked about this, I've been on the board, this is my 5th year, and this has been a discussion that I could say that we've probably been having for 4 years, that we just did not want to make that decision, because we wanted to keep it split so that we could make sure that the residents were able to pay. But also knowing too that we're borrowing money every year. So we wanted to make sure that if that decision was made, that we are giving people ample time so that they're not split in two anymore, but that they are combined in one. So yes, the amount that you would be paying in the summertime is double, but then you get a relief in the winter as well. So it gives people an opportunity that if you're have a mortgage and it's escrowed, then your mortgage company can make that adjustment for you. The issue, I think, is for those who don't have mortgages and they're paying monthly notes or however they do to set aside their taxes for the year. How would that impact them? And so we wanted to make sure that we were giving people ample time to get their finances in order so that they could make that adjustment and that it wouldn't be such a sticker shock type of deal when they actually got their tax bill or had to make that adjustment. Personally, I kind of think that maybe this was one of those, although we won't be experiencing it in 2014, I almost feel like this gives us extra time to make sure that the message that we deliver as a Board of Education to help our residents be prepared, it gives us an additional time to make sure that that's done. So instead of it being 1 year, now we have 2 years to work on that message, talk about what your alternatives could be, possibly maybe even have some partners who, like Comerica, come in and actually talk with our seniors, or for those people who don't have the actual mortgage, but maybe give them alternatives as to how they can put money aside to be able to afford this expense, that whole huge chunk. So I don't know, I kind of see it as a redeeming, I guess everything kind of works for the good. So, you know, definitely I'm paying the same taxes, and, you know, I definitely understand, and we definitely wanted to make sure that we took our senior citizens into consideration, because most of our, I would say the large majority, 99% of our seniors are on fixed incomes, and this would really impact your pocketbooks. And so we were definitely mindful of that. However, one of the things that I kind of have to think about as well is, wow, okay, if we lose the district, we're paying the taxes anyway for something that we no longer have. So I felt like it was something that I had to do, a decision that I should make in order to help save the district, so that if we're paying taxes on something, I at least want to see some dividends from it and not have to pay taxes on something that we no longer have. So that was kind of my reasoning as to why I made the decision to say, yes, let's collect in the summer.
Madam Chair, do you mind if I comment?
Sure.
Sir, I understand what you're saying about the taxes. Trust me, I pay them too. I live relatively close to you. We talked about that before the meeting. You know, I mean, you talked about budget cuts. The Board of Education has done budget cuts. Friday, there's 20-some people less in the district that'll be employed by the district. December 1st, another 60. Unfortunately, my wife is one of them after 20-some years with the district. So I understand about how the money is going to impact, especially my pocketbook. How am I going to come up with the money? Just like many other people in this room are going to have to come up with it. We got to save. But one of the things, when sitting up here, it's a hard decision to understand, to make when, one, now my income is cut drastically in half, but also I have to come up with how it's saving the district. Hopefully we can stay alive. The district, by doing that, is not having to borrow money. By borrowing money, we're paying interest, like you said. But like you said, it's pushing the cost back onto you. Naturally, my taxes aren't $50,000, and I'm glad they're not. We appreciate every dollar you do pay, along with a few other business members in this room too, I've recognized. But we're trying to find ways of being cost effective, where we can use our dollar and buy $1 worth of stuff, not 75 cents and give somebody else 25 cents of it. Just like you're in business, you understand that too. I mean, you've been in business years. But, if you could come up, or if you know a way, by all means, contact me. I'll bring any idea there is to the board if it's a reasonable deal. If you got an idea out there that can help us, and we're all 7 of us up here are all looking for ways. And we're beating our heads to the desk and going home at night. And trust me, it's aggravating. It's aggravating in my household, just like many other people on the board. It's not an easy decision. We all pay taxes, and it's going to hurt us. Some of us are on fixed incomes. Some of us aren't. But we're all going to have to pay it. My mother lives here in the community. I understand how it's going to impact her. So I feel what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, and I know how it's going to impact everybody. But if there's somebody that's got a better idea, please bring it. I don't want to do it either, but a way we can save our money to get it to where it works. That's what we've got to do, unfortunately.
Okay, I have 2 more sheets in regards to the taxes, and then we'll go back to our agenda. Janet Harmon.
Hi, once again, I'm Janet Harmon, and I lived in Romulus for about 13 years. And funny you mentioned taxes. His business taxes are $50,000. My homeowners is over $10,000. And my question is, I hear every year about the taxes, the millage. And from our understanding, they passed this millage in order for you not to outsource and to help the taxes along or whatever you need. So what's going on now? Why are we outsourcing? Why are we paying taxes during the summer? And all that's supposed to have been taken care of. Did they not do their homework prior to this? Because again, we pay, and as far as I'm concerned, I feel like we were railroaded when we moved in here. Everybody else is grandfathered in. I understand you pay taxes, but I doubt if you pay as much as I do. And we pay ours on time every year. And then you'll say, well, the taxes, we have the state-of-the-art equipment. Okay, but you just laid off anybody who could have implemented the program. So, and then you just got Inkster students. How much are they getting? Because I know any special education child is getting over $15,000 per child. What are we really doing with the money? Oh, could it be that we purchased a home for Mr. Carr when he left, and Mr. Wise, somebody I really recommended you guys not to put in the system? What are we really doing with the money? And to say that we need to come up with it, you cannot come up with something from nothing. And you're constantly taking, and we're not getting anything in return. All the best teachers are gone. And some of the principals trying to get away too, from what I understand. So what are we going to do? I'm not planning on taking this mill that we passed, and we already outsourced transportation, the maintenance or whatever. Then we're paying summer taxes. I'm not planning on paying anybody's legal fees, okay? Because that's next. We need to find out what they're really doing with the money, help these families. You have parents here that's working 3 jobs just to make minimum wage to make their household run. They cannot come up with any more money. So what are we going to do? We need to think about that.
Just a clarification on the millage that we recently passed. It was not an increase. It was strictly a renewal to extend the expiration date on that tax. It wasn't an increase. It was just to keep that tax in
And
place.
I understand
Okay,
that.
I just didn't know
because
a lot of people didn't.
for the record, vote no every year that they bring it up. And surprisingly, it finally passed. And I have my suspicions about that because nobody wants to pay that money. They don't see what they're getting out of it. It's not just me. And all of a sudden it passed. But they also said we're going to pass that so we won't outsource the services. Well, have we even gotten through half the process before transportation is being outsourced? Maintenance last day is the 30th of
This month.
this month. And it's other things getting ready to outsource. What's it going to be within a year or so? You're going to outsource the secretaries and everybody else. You're saying you want to prevent losing the school, but in essence, you've already started selling it off. And that land, the real estate market is supposedly coming back. Why would you undercut yourself? Think business. It's not just me saying this, but we're tired, and I have no more money to give. My house has flipped, and I'm still paying my mortgage. So, that's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Lukowitz?
Okay, Mark Lukowitz, Romulus resident, Romulus businessman. And at the last meeting when I spoke here a few months ago, I mentioned that someone like Joe or myself, we get 3 tax bills. Personal property taxes at our business, real property taxes at our business, and our real property taxes at our home, okay? So we're gonna get hit 3 times. Now, the lady that just spoke, she's got a good point. Some people move into this community, they see what the taxes were on the house, but those come uncapped when they move in, or when they buy one of the houses in these newer subdivisions, they're paying extremely high taxes. The other thing is the taxes were already moved up and they made the summer taxes higher somehow under the Granholm administration because they wanted to grab the money sooner. So our taxes, would everybody agree with me on that your taxes are already out of balance, that the summer tax is higher than the winter tax? So now this is going to be like another hit where you get it all at once. It's just businesses are having a harder time making all their expenses anymore. Like myself personally, I've got equipment that's older than I'm trying to get by with. It's breaking down. Every time I think I'm going to get through another month and get through that expense, something else comes up. So my world is no different than you guys trying to keep all the old school buses going. So I don't think it's a good idea. I think it's bad for attracting business. I think it's bad for the existing residents in the community, the new residents, senior citizens, you name it. So if you guys can somehow work within your budget, still collect your taxes twice a year, and budget how you're going to spend that money through the year, that would be the best bet. And one last comment, the fact that we have no newspapers following any news in this community. The News Herald is a great paper. I love to read all the news downriver, but they're not covering Romulus. We no longer have the little paper. People aren't going online. I went online, and I didn't really see it much online with that paper, like there used to be in print. People pick those up in the restaurants. They read them. The general public in Romulus probably doesn't even know that there's a mayoral election coming up in a couple of weeks.
Right.
They'll find out after it's over. So it's too bad. And the Schools in Perspective, that hasn't been printed for how long?
Couple years.
Couple years. So see, we're not getting any news anymore. So people that try and keep up on it, they know what's going on, but the average Romulus resident doesn't have a clue as to what's going on in this community. And that's a problem too, that there's no communication going to them to know what's happening. So, okay, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You can go back there.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the superintendent evaluation instrument. I had given everybody a copy of what MASB has on their website that can be used where it has a rubric. And I don't know if this is something that you guys want to look at and we can just, and figure out, there's some items on here that we can, change, and then there's some items on here that we cannot change because it's a requirement of the revised school code.
Do they have those marked on which ones?
Are required, yeah,
They
they
do.
have a,
The,
towards the
where
back.
it says required
there's-
by MCO,
Right,
like, say.
the
number
areas
G.
that are required,
okay.
say it's required.
Gotcha.
Those are things that we cannot change.
There are some boards that do this, as a group. And there's some boards that have committees. We are a committee of a whole, that's how we've been operating our board, so
We need to continue to do it
I feel that we should do it as a group. I guess I'm just kind of looking to see what kind of information or comments anybody has.
Madam Chair, I think that when we have to do the evaluation in, is it January?
that way. Well,
Before
see, and that's
December.
the other thing.
When is we have to have it done by December, correct?
I thought he said December.
Is it by December?
Because in January, we have to do
Start
yours,
anew.
but we have to start and give you everything in January for the new year. I think if you give us, if we can have like maybe a week to look this over and see what it looks like, because some of this, of course,
Some
we
of the
can't
stuff,
change.
some of the stuff we're gonna have to do as a group, because
Yes.
it talks about like the graduation rates, it talks about different attendance and things like that, so that's some of the stuff that we're gonna have to get, you know, from the district that we're gonna have to,
Because I don't think we should try to reinvent the wheel if this is an instrument that most school districts are using.
And I believe, I'm not sure, I'm gonna check into it, but MASB may be able to help us too with this because of us having the new superintendent. That they could facilitate it also with us too.
Because
But I have to find out for sure about that.
the class we last took regarding the evaluation would be a good class to have for all the board members so they can understand how we do this.
you wanna do the superintendent evaluation class? Is that what you're saying?
The one that we had at,
We had one
Because
last
if you
year.
want, I can call MASB, I'd be willing to spearhead that, to have them come out to
I
the
think that'll
district.
help everybody understand what this whole rubric is about.
If it's all right with the Madam Chair, I'll take that job on, if it helps you out.
I think it's a good suggestion, but I think we still all need to look at this instrument and just to get familiar with it. Because it's very different than what we've been using.
You agree?
Because we're probably not the only district.
I know, it's just very different.
A class for board members from other districts might even be.
Well, I know
Yeah,
that
we could open it up to the other districts too, then that way, if we sponsor the class, like we did last year,
And then we don't have to pay
then
mileage
you
for our
don't pay
board
for
members
it.
either.
Right.
Well, I like it when they come here.
Yeah, makes it
Perfect.
easy. We can find the place.
my only concern is just the timeline. I mean, this is the end of October, we're going into November, and if we need to have an evaluation in December, and December being the start of the holiday, I don't know that we'll have enough time to kind of go through that whole process.
Can we get some clarification on the dates exactly? So we'll have that, something maybe you can put in your update for us. And then we can decide from there where we need to go, but I still think we all need to get familiar with this
Okay.
piece that's in front of us. That's just my suggestion.
And Scott Morrell, who was here for our last board workshop, was the one that did the superintendent eval class at the middle school last year.
It was well attended, there was a lot of people there.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that we're not the only district that has this issue.
Okay then.
So,
So Tom, are you gonna,
If it's all right with the chair, I'll take the lead on it.
That's fine.
Okay.
can we
I'll
have some
set it up
dates,
and give
though?
you some prospective dates, I'll
We
let
gotta
you
get
know.
some, we gotta get some dates
And
on
then,
when it's due.
and then Dr. Daniels is gonna get us the dates on when these are due, and it has to be turned in by. Okay.
I'll check with them tomorrow.
Tom, you're saying you need some actual dates to give them?
Well, what I'll do is I'll get some projected possible dates from them and come back to us and find out when make it more convenient for us.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I'll email everybody, I'll try to get you some answers by this week, and then I'll email everybody, and then everybody can indicate what dates are the best for them. And then
Okay.
Can
I'll
I-
get with Dr. Daniels, make sure we can get the building and everything.
Make a suggestion. In the meantime, can we schedule this as a tentative study session for November 11th to at least begin, even if we don't have that in place? Because, you know, I just know that we're really kind of on a very tight timeline.
Is that our regular, isn't it our
Yeah,
regular
that's
meeting?
a regular meeting for us.
Oh, okay, because, okay.
Okay, so is everybody in agreement with that then?
It's fine with me. I'm good. We'll be here anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Is that all right with you, Dr. Daniels? Okay. All right, the next item was the communications and expressions from the public, and I have a few more sheets here. Sharita Hill?
Good evening, and I'm a resident of Commons 2 subdivision. I have a few questions and maybe an idea. My first question is, you know, what do you have to offer my child to keep me here in Romulus? What do you have to offer him? He is a 4-point plus student. He's involved in the community. And, you know, I hate for my son to go to school and it not be clean, and him to come home because he's caught a virus, and I have to give him some Clorox wipes to clean his desk before he can sit down. That's my concern. Where's the state of the art? Our school is deteriorating, and I need that addressed. And the ABM Incorporated, what is the timeline? What are they looking for when they come into our school? So far as trying to keep kids here and get other children here, push the dual enrollment. That WC3 program is a great program if a kid is in the middle and they need for college. But my child wants to go to a four-year college. Why aren't we pushing the dual enrollment? Why aren't we pushing that? Why aren't we doing more for those students who want to get that enrollment? I had a daughter who graduated in '09. She got half away paid. Why aren't we trying to get scholarships for those students who are top in their class to get a full ride? That's something that would get people here. And that's something that would keep me here. Next question. Are we getting the November state aid? When will we know that? Because job security is important, very important. Because if I didn't know where my next check was coming from, I'd definitely be looking for a new job. And is that going to be questionable every month? Are we going to be guessing whether we're going to get it in December, in January? I think that's about it. Make sure you got it. How you going to keep my kid here? Where's the state of the art? What is ABM coming in to do exactly? Can we push the dual enrollment for children who don't want to go to WC3? They don't want a community college experience. They want a four-year college experience. Are we getting the November state aid when we know? And is it going to be questionable every month? And Mr. Hurd came in, brought scores up. Like I said, I had a daughter graduated in 2009. I saw things going down. He came in, things going back up. I guess you could take some of the credit for that too, Ms. Daniels. Those are my questions.
Thank you.
There's a phone number on there.
Mrs. Hill, do you have, can I have some contact information for you on the
Would you
sheet so
just
somebody
come
can
in,
get
put
back
your-
with you? Sure, whatever you.
Email and phone number too, please.
Thank you.
While she, I was gonna say while she was doing that, I guess I can kind of speak on the dual enrollment. I'm gonna sit on the advisory board for Project ACE, which is our local college access network. And one of the things that we have been in discussion about is how do we increase the college-bearing credits for our students, whether that be through our early college program, dual enrollment opportunities, summer college courses, that type of thing. And so we had a meeting on Friday. Well, no, I'm gonna take that back. It wasn't Friday, it was Wednesday. Wednesday. And that was one of the discussions that we had. Now, the nice thing is that we do have the college program, the early college, I want to say, with Wayne County Community College. But there's those discussions being generated now of what does dual enrollment look like, and how do we begin having those constructive conversations with our families on what in dual enrollment looks like, and how do we get our students prepared to take those courses. A lot of those courses come with so many prerequisites, especially pre-PSAT scores, and so they have to have a certain echelon. So really, you still are now experiencing those students who are our high achieving students being able to actually take those particular courses. So it's kind of a twofold conversation of how do we have our students who probably would non-traditionally take college into consideration. And when I say college, I'm talking post-secondary opportunities. So whether it wants the four-year college like your son is interested in, or if you're talking about certification in auto mechanics or plumbing, nursing, EMT, those types of things. And so those conversations have definitely started. We're hoping that they will be in place before the end of the year so that we can actually have a communication plan put in place to inform our families of what that would look like and how we can get our students prepared, but get them prepared early, because with there being certain requirements that they have to have in order to take those dual enrollment classes, that to me starts well before they even hit middle school. There are certain things that they need to have in place as far as their math skills are concerned, their reading comprehension. And so we have to make sure that we're starting early enough to prepare them so that once they get to high school, it's kind of like they're ready to go. Yes.
Can you come up to the mic,
Yeah.
please?
There are schools that are doing it, and it doesn't necessarily have to be, the 051 classes, you could test out of those for college. But for those elective classes as well, for the Math 100, the 100 level classes, there are high schools that are doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very well doable. And that is just something that would help me out. And of course, it will attract other students to know that you could receive at least 30 credit hours. That's pretty much your first year. So.
And we have those here.
Right.
It's not, I don't think it's general knowledge that we have those programs
Exactly.
available.
So
Yeah.
that's just an idea
Part of
to
the
push
marketing.
Yeah.
Part
to
of that
keep
marketing.
the 4.0s here, the
Right.
3.6s and up here.
Right. Thank you.
Good idea.
Could you come to the mic, please?
It bothers me that you want to know how you get started. I thought that was the ultimate goal anyway. And I've known a girl who grew up in this system, and she says nothing has changed. After my girls came out of Romulus Elementary, I didn't even let my youngest go to the middle school. These are things that you should be working on, And a lot of people have an opinion about Detroit Public Schools based on what they've seen in the media, but they have some awesome programs. You can go look at some of them. My daughter came here at 4 years old on a 6th grade reading level, 4th grade math level. She came from a daycare. And she has a 4.25. And all I can say to her is, that's all? Because she could do better than that, too. But come on. We have to start when they're young. And a lot of these kids are misdiagnosed. Everybody is not EI. Everybody does not need medication. Once again, some of these families are working 3 jobs just trying to pay the rent. I don't know what that rent is. Since my mortgage is outrageous, I don't know what the real price should be. But still, should not be something that they're working on. I know they had programs here, but once again, after the elementary, it's scary. They need to step up their game. And once again, you're running people away. I don't know what it is, but a lot of your students are my clients, so I do know what I'm talking about. But something has got to change. It has to make it more appealing and really work hard. Put some evening programs in place. I used to take the kids and tutor them. That's how a lot of these kids made it through this high school period, because my daughter is in the 12th grade now, but she's not in this school system. I was willing to take her to Detroit, and they were in state-of-the-art programs. So, come on, we got to do a little bit better. We have to do a little bit better.
Thank you. Debbie Mallard.
I am Debbie Mallard, Farm Subdivision. And I guess just by what she said, I think at the last meeting I stated that we probably need to go back to knocking on the doors and getting our kids back, those that lives in the community, back to Romulus schools. Just a couple of questions. I just want to know, did we notify the parents that the custodian and the bus drivers and all that will be changing? I think I stated that. A few parents I've talked to do not know it. I didn't see it. I went to the website because I told them they could probably go onto the website and see it. I didn't see it, so are you gonna send out letters or not?
Website, isn't there?
I thought there was, but I'll go back and check and see. if
And there
it's
was
out.
an article that was put into the little paper, but like Mr. Lukowitz said, it is an online version, and
Yeah.
you're subject to who your audience is there too.
Okay. The next, and I don't know if we can't answer, I know you're gonna resubmit it to the state. Rebecca, do you know when we're gonna hear anything? Would it be just a few days like before, or is it gonna be longer?
Their
Or
cycle,
Ms. Daniel?
their cycle seems to be a 2-week cycle.
2 weeks.
So we'll submit the changes to them on Thursday, which is the due date for this, and then we anticipate hearing back from them 2
So
weeks
probably at
later.
the next meeting, we should probably know something pretty much. And then the next thing, and it really breaks me that Mr. Hurd, I heard was leaving. And I'm telling you, that's the one thing that made me allow to keep my son here, because I've seen the actions that he did. I've talked to him, and I tell you, Mr. Hurd, he's at that school all day. I mean, I just thought since he's here, I didn't know he's gonna be here tonight. But I mean, he's at the school all day. I don't care, it could be a baseball game, the football games, I don't care what time, we may just be up there for a band meeting and stuff, he's there. And I've never seen that with any of the principals. You know, they may come back to the afternoon program, but I mean, he shows his face at everything. I was at a girls' tennis match, he was out there, and I'm like, God, he comes to everything. You know, the baseball game, even if it's just for a few minutes, he comes out there. So I was happy, I really was happy with that. Very disappointed my son came home and told me he was gonna be leaving. Very disappointed. I'd just like to know, have you, I don't know what the time frame was, have you started looking? Because I hear rumors all the time, so I'm hearing some rumors. Just like to know if you're gonna be hiring within, or are you gonna be hiring from outside? Have you thought about it?
It stays paramount on our minds, and what we're working to do is to implement a plan that will ensure a smooth transition and to be able to keep the ideals and the energy and the the whole process together and going forward to make sure that what Mr. Hurd has started, we continue on. And I know he would want us to continue to fly as eagles, and that's what we're gonna do everything that we can to do.
Yeah, because I mean, it's a short time, so what's gonna happen, like, say he's leaving on Friday, what's gonna happen on Monday? Do the assistant principal step into place? Or how do that work?
But we're still working out all the timelines and all of the pieces.
So nothing, not right now? You don't have that? I mean, it's Monday.
Yeah.
We're gonna have another person there? I mean, I know it's gonna be more than one person,
Yeah,
right?
we'll be ready to roll.
We're trying to figure it all out. We're devastated as well, just so you know, that Mr. Hurd is leaving, so
Right, but do we
we're
know
trying to
if
get
we're
our
gonna
plans
have
in
another-
place.
I guess I'm just trying to see if it's gonna be two people. If it's gonna be another principal, another assistant, or just somebody else helping the assistant principal now? Like, who's gonna be running the school come Monday? We should know that part by now.
That would be something administration has to
Right.
answer.
Yeah.
We don't know.
We're trying.
I mean, because it's Monday. So do that mean the assistant principal at least step up to the,
It's Monday.
No, it's 2
I mean,
weeks.
It's 2 weeks.
It's
Yeah.
2 weeks.
oh, I heard it differently. You got 2 weeks, Mr. Hunt? I mean, I ain't trying to.
Like
be
I said, he
funny.
going
That's why I was
Monday? That's
concerned.
what I was looking like, what is going
Oh,
on?
we have 2 more weeks?
Well, I was kind of wondering, like, if he's leaving Monday, why don't we have an answer?
Because it's not Monday.
Oh, okay, well,
So-
I'll see, that's why I said rumors again, I didn't understand then, I didn't know we had a couple more weeks. I'm here Wednesday, Thursday, and that's all I want to know, what's gonna happen come Monday.
Well, now you can squash that rumor with
Yes,
me,
sir,
right?
I can, okay, I'll give you a little bit more time.
Thank you. Curtis Jackson?
Yeah, I was concerned with the days that was taken from the custodial maintenance. And they seemed to got taken after John Theed asked what kind of severance package was coming out for us being outsourced. Now I got a call today that I'm 5 days short that they paid me for my sick days, but now they're taking 5 days, but I used the 5 days before our contractor was renewed for the concessions. So now they're stealing days from us. So they don't have to pay us out the money. Also, with the 3% that we've been paying into the health care for the state of Michigan, that it was ruled in the court twice, that it was illegal, but they made the decision to keep taking that money out from us. So are we going to get that money back?
So is that something administration can answer? That's all like contractual and personnel stuff, so.
Oh,
Well-
we have Mr. Jackson's phone number. I'll be happy to give him a call and update him on that information.
Well, I mean, it's coming to the 31st is our last day. So, I mean, you know, everybody was looking for their payout of their money. But then after John Theed had said that, you know, what kind of severance package do we get when we leave? And then it was said that under our contract, our sick days and our vacation days, then everybody got their paycheck. The next paycheck following that, then we were reduced days, a bunch of days. On our concession, it was supposed to be 3 sick days, 3 vacation days. I had 10 vacation days, then I ended up with 2. I had sick days, now I'm -7. Then I got a call today that it's -5. So which one is it? So now I'm gonna be short 5 days, basically no vacation days. But then, just like the one resident said, with the custodians coming in. So do you guys know that we were already at the skeleton, bare minimum of custodian, and we kept it shining? We did concessions, 1.4 million. We make half the salary of what teachers make. The teachers came in at 1.9. But then 3 weeks later, our contracts wasn't even 3 weeks old. Then we were outsourced. But then the financial department made a ooh-ooh because they were still charging business tax when Snyder signed the bill. So now you had companies suing the district to get that money back. We're already in a deficit, but then you let the financial person leave with a $30,000 severance package. All administrators, if we're in a deficit, should get no kind of severance package. You have the right to leave, but you shouldn't take any money if it's all about the kids. So now you got a contractor that's coming in that's paying $9 an hour for what we did, but they're staffing the same amount of number for what we had. So what kind of service do you think you're gonna get there? Now, they were supposed to call some of us back. Do you know it's only 6 got called back? Only 6 people got called back. But the company is paying $9, but do you guys know y'all making the difference up for the $15 that they're making? Are your board aware of that?
Yeah.
So y'all are aware of that?
Yep.
So y'all paying money when we don't have the money, but then you're robbing us to pay them.
We're paying them to pay you.
And we're paying them to pay you.
No,
He wasn't
No.
one of the 6.
Oh, you're talking to,
exactly. Because I worked for a company before I came to the school district, and I was on management side. That was the game that was played. We already knew as a management company that we wasn't going to keep them here. It's going to be such a high turnover here, but this company is not going to be funny. With Durham also, why would the district continue to pay their gas amount that's over $300,000 to $400,000 a year? But the school district run on tax money. So if this is nonprofit and you guys are not paying a fair share of taxes on that gas purchase, which Durham should be purchasing their own gas, ain't that fraud? Now you're cutting the city out of money. Just like when you were saying earlier, the city is not working with you guys. I wonder why not. I mean, you know, I have 4 days left, and they're doing everything to get me out. So I'm calling in sick for the next 4 days. I mean, honestly, the games that's being played, it shouldn't have to be played, because we are part of this district also. So when you come and ask for another millage, again, the last millage that got passed, the administration ran it on their own twice, and it failed 2-1. Then they came to the local union, which is us. Hey, can you guys help? Then it passed 2-1. So do you think another millage would actually ever pass here in Romulus again? And they say it's all about the kids. But you know what? Inkster kids is all right, because they're going to school. At somebody's school, it might not be in their school. But if anybody rode by Inkster High School, they're building a new charter school right across the street from the high school. Are you also aware of, you have to fix Inkster High School to even heat it? They stolen all the heating equipment, the elements from the air handlers. Who's got to pay that price? So honestly, what I'm seeing is, as Local 64, we're paying severance packages. We're paying for all the mistakes here. And again, we took the sacrifice. But this is the thanks that we get. But now the days is all of a sudden got to be prorated. I've been here. You got board members that worked here. Board members' wives, their spouse worked here. And again, that's robbery. That now you all of a sudden you're prorating days. My days came on in July. I knew what I had to work with. I knew what I had to do. I got sick before our new contract came into place. So I got paid my days. Now it's coming right here to the end. Oh, by the way, we got to deduct you 5 days. That's really mismanagement. And as a board, you guys should be aware of what's really going on, because your name is on here as credibility. So when it's time to run again. So you see one manager already jumped ship. They left with a $30,000 severance package plus their paycheck on a Friday and started their new job on a Monday. That's unreal, really. And you guys sitting here saying that you hurting for money. Are you really hurting for money? Who's running the ship? So I'm coming to an end. I don't care if I get reprimanded now or what. I'm right here at the end. I went to Romulus School. I moved out here from Detroit. My ex-wife's still here. My kids are still here, and they vote. So just like there's supposed to be transparency out here, it's no transparency. Everybody have to hear through the rumor mills. And again, then you have to try to squash it. But once it's in the rumor mill, and I got a mindset, and then I see the way you operate, it's a done deal. So now I'm sitting here and I'm getting punished. My fellow workers are getting punished. And again, the ones that they kept from the district, I guarantee that they will be gone by May. And if you know what this new company is, they're not even advanced of what we are. They wax their floors with a mop and a bucket. We showed them the equipment that we use. They didn't even know what it was. But that's your bang for the buck. So as $9 an hour employees, are your kids really going to be safe with new turnovers every 2 weeks? Getting paid on the 15th and on the 30th? That is unreal, really. So just like we said, our contract wasn't even 3 weeks old. Then the administrator, a financial administrator left on a Friday. We knew the Delta Airlines sued the district for $700,000. Now you're talking about trying to combine taxes and all of this. And you hearing what the residents are saying. You hearing them, but nobody's listening to them. So if you're not listening now, you'll listen when it's time for the millage, because we're not going to be here to help you like we've been here the previous years. And it's been a high turnover for management. They get rewarded for messing up. And when they get rewarded, we suffer the cost. We make half of what administration, not even half, less than half. But I know the kids. The kids know me. Let the new company come in. When the new company come in, okay, well, I don't do that. I don't mess with them. But for you guys to sit up here and purchase $300,000, $400,000 for gas for somebody else using your bus, then that's shortchanging the city. Some roads need to be fixed and everything. That's what the gas tax is paid. Even you getting your fair share as a school district. You cutting your own throat. And that's really, honestly, that's a shame. I mean, you know, I've never been vocal. I pull one of you guys aside that know me, and then, you know, and I try to dialogue. But now this is on the air. Now when the residents really find out what's going on, because this is a blue-collar town. It's a blue-collar town, Democrat thinking, but it's ran like it's a Republican. And we see what they're doing. We see what they're doing. That's why Michigan have a surplus. Why? Because they cut the money from the schools. That's the only reason it's a surplus. Then they doing away with business tax. Okay, but then I'm not a financial person. I didn't go to school for that. But then why wasn't it cut? Why didn't they do their job? Why did you release them? They made a $2 million mistake at the beginning, and it was a slap on the wrist. So we're not going to charge the school tax for the following year. So now you further in a deficit. Now you're trying to play catch up. Like the one parent said, where is the college programs? Where is the technology? It's grant money out there. And nobody's researching to get any kind of grant money. We was the cattle in the corral, and it was a family reunion. Okay, let's outsource it. We're going to keep just a little bit left, and then when we need some more money, we're going to outsource the next one. Why we ain't outsourcing administration? Risa can take it over. You already had Risa going over your book. You had a consultant here going over your books from Risa. And as a board, y'all should outsource. How many more mistakes do they have to do before you say enough is enough? The ship is sinking, and it's sinking real fast. Every district around here is like that. Y'all doing the best that you guys can do, but y'all not really researching the people that you got in charge to do what they need to do. But when the tough get going, they ready to jump ship, and you throw them a severance package, and I take my damage somewhere else. That's why Hurd is leaving. That's why the board went and searched for an African. That's why the board searched for an African American principal. And we keeping it real. Miss McDaniels, you're gonna be the fall guy. That's basically what they're setting this up for. You're gonna be the fall guy for the past administration. They don't fire the team, they fire the coach. So, and all y'all be ready to run for reelection, you know, and that's why the city is doing what they're doing. They don't want to touch you guys. They already know. They had bad shape themselves. But quite a few of you guys are Romulus product, and y'all should be ashamed. Honestly, y'all should be ashamed of yourselves. I know you're working with what you have, but it's a lot out there. So I'm losing my job, you know, but again, who's going to be hurt by it? It's the residents. So now instead of me being a taxpayer, I'm taking money from the tax roll. The system played me, now it's time for me to play the system. So now you put me out of a job, you outsource me, now I let the state send me back to school for free off y'all dime. When you started still hollering you need nickels, quarters, but it ain't here. You got a board member's wife that's affected by the same thing. Like he said, his wages is cut half.
Okay, Mr. Jackson, you're getting close to your, well, over your time. but-
Okay. So, but I need to know what happened to our days. Also, with the 3% that we paid into the MIP, the retiree health care, they've been taken out for 2 years. The court already said that it was illegal. The district decided to keep taking that money out. I want to know how we're going to get that money back. We need that money.
What's
Okay,
the
thank you.
MIP?
I got it written down.
What's the MIP?
The 3% into the retiree health.
Okay.
So the
Yes,
2
sir.
courts ruled that it was illegal. The state workers already got their money back.
Right, but that's not just MIT, that's basic too, everybody.
Right. So we've been getting taxation for the last 3 to 4 years. So we've been making sacrifice to make this work. And then we did our contract, like we said, it wasn't even 3 weeks old. And then we were outsourced because now all of a sudden they need that money for Delta Airlines. That's one company of many that asked for that money back, that the financial director kept charging. Don't we have an overseer to what the overseer is doing? Honestly.
Thank you.
Well, can I just,
The
Yeah,
Delta,
please.
I think you're mistaken about the Delta information,
Yeah.
but go ahead.
yeah. Well, I was gonna say the debt elimination plan was primarily the reason why we outsourced.
It was a reason.
It wasn't passing the way we had it, because they said that we needed to make some structural changes. And those structural changes were the fact that we were paying health care and retirement for those non-instructional positions.
We wasn't even
Just let her
allowed as the union.
Just
They
let her
let
finish.
the company rebid, but they wouldn't let us come back. We could have came back and said, hey, we could take over our own health care. We can take over our own retirement. We wasn't even allowed that. It was just that we had to outsource and we gotta do it now. So now you're getting the same people that's coming back in making $9 an hour. But then why would you have them pay the difference of them making $15 to $17 an hour? Why would the district pay that?
To give them a livable, close to a livable wage.
Exactly. So,
Yeah.
but they only hired 6 people. And if you need 30-something people, how many more is coming in that's making $9?
Right.
So now the turnover is gonna be there. The Walmart syndrome. You ain't never heard nobody retiring from Walmart.
Oh, that I'm not, I'm not aware of them not knowing how to use the equipment. I mean,
There, Ms.
Yeah.
Peck, can you answer that?
yeah.
The equipment that DM Burr is a professional cleaning company. This is what they do. This is what their job is. We've just received the shipments of the new equipment that DM Burr will be utilizing in order to do their job. That's not equipment that this Board of Education has approved for purchase. That is part of the DM Burr contract. So to state that they don't know how to use cleaning equipment is an inaccurate statement. Perhaps they don't plan on using some of our old equipment that isn't functioning very well. And Mr. Jackson makes a great point. You know, the staff that we have had here in the last few years have done a wonderful job of keeping the buildings looking good in very difficult situations. We had equipment that did not work, was failing, that we could not afford to replace. The same is true for our transportation department, where You know, we're down 10 buses right now in our replacement cycle. We have not been able to afford to purchase those buses. So the same thing can be said about that as well. So to go back to the point that was asked for clarification, does DM Byrne know how to use cleaning equipment? Yes.
Okay,
No,
thank you.
They ask us, who do our gym floors? We do our own gym floors. We don't have an outside contractor. They got a floor restoration company that comes in and do their floors. They ask how we wax our floors. We show them the equipment we use. What is that? We use a mop bucket and a mop. They got upright vacuums. They got upright vacuums like you vacuum your house with. That's not a commercial vacuum. Now with all the kids in the room, the desks are closer. Those vacuums are going to get tore up if it's not a commercial grade. So, I mean, again, I understand what you guys have to do. You do what you have to do. But again, the ship is sinking fast. And you guys need to wake up and look at what your administration is doing, honestly. Because like they say, the old teachers are leaving. So you're going to get the new kid that's coming out of college. Yeah, we'll work with him. But again, he doesn't have the experience of that older teacher. So when the going gets tough, what administration do? They jump ship because they know they get a severance package. Why you guys ain't opening those contracts to say you can leave the district, but you don't get a severance package? $30,000 would have bought some equipment for us, and we could have kept going. You could have came and said, hey, you take over your retirement help. We could have done that, but we wasn't asked that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jackson.
Yep. Good luck, residents. Y'all in trouble.
The next item on the agenda is executive session.
Do you have, okay, Mr. Hurd.
Okay.
No, it's just, you know.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Hal Hurd. I'm one that's been subject of many discussions in the back of the room.
Can you clarify a rumor for us?
Are you jumping ship? Because we're
Well, I'm gonna clarify a couple things. First of all, I wanted to extend to the board a thank you and appreciation for letting you lead the high school for the last 3 years and giving me the opportunity. During that time, I think we've made some accomplishments with our young people and kind of set them on the right path of going forward, and hopefully set a tradition that'll be long lasting here at the high school, and also kind of trickle down
We're trying to hear, please.
to the middle school and the elementary schools, and one that students are able to do whatever it is that they want to do. They're able to achieve their goals. There's been a lot of discussion and rumors about my status with the district. As I guess everybody knows, I've accepted a position with another school district. There are many reasons why I accepted those positions. One of those reasons is that it is my alma mater. It's a school that I attended in high school and I graduated from. And knowing me back then and knowing me now, to see how I've grown or matured is an opportunity I couldn't pass up. So to come from a student and be able to lead in a community which I've grown up in, it was just an awesome opportunity. I understand that the district has had some issues that are going on, but anytime that we've kind of looked at those at the high school, we've kind of made lemonade out of the situation, tried to do the best we can for our students. And I challenged the staff as well the other day when I let them know that continue to do the things that they need to do for our young people and make sure that they understand that they're the most important person that our kids see every day. We many times get the opportunity or hear people talk about, our students come from some financial difficult backgrounds and they can't do this, they can't do that. But if we want to break those things, you have to galvanize as a community and say, this is what we want for our kids. And making sure that our decisions are all based on our kids. Whatever they is, they all have to be based on our kids and making a better future for them. So with that saying, I'll still be around, still being active with our students here in Romulus because they've been a part of my life for the last 3 years. I've got to know them pretty well, and I'll see them everywhere and still be on them about going to college and making sure they graduate from college. So I still will be taking care of that responsibility that I owe to them, as well to the community. And also, I've been getting my hair cut in this town since I've been probably 3 or 4. So I'll continue to do that because I don't know any other barber shops that I can go to. So I did want to appreciate and extend a hearty thank you to the board for allowing me this opportunity, and the administration as well. And also, I know our central administration office takes quite a, I guess for lack of a better term, beating up here, but understand that working on the other side, I know the supports that I get from these two people that we see up here, Dr. Daniels and Ms. Peck. And they do a tremendous job, and they have many hats that they wear. And I've never seen anybody to wear all these hats and then still come in and still kind of get abused every meeting and still come back the next day and look at how can we help young people. So I definitely applaud them for their efforts as well. And I do also, again, make sure that the board understands that we're in this for kids. And lastly, to dispel another rumor, I'm not leaving for money at all. I did leave considerable amount of money when I left Birmingham Public Schools to come here to Romulus. So it's never about the money. So I just wanted to say that publicly. And it's not about the money going to Canton either. It's just an opportunity that I couldn't pass up. Knowing my background, knowing some of my personal stories, there's reasons behind why I'm going over there. So thank you once again, and I won't stay up here any longer.
Thank you, Mr. Hurd.
Mr. Hurd, you have some big shoes to fill. You're a big guy, but you have some big shoes to fill, and we have appreciated you, and we've seen the difference in how the high school has grown and prospered under your leadership, and we certainly appreciate that. And we as a board are going to do the best we can to make sure that continues.
And Mr. Hurd, I just want to tell you how much I appreciate you and all that you've done. And one of our commitments is going to be that we honor you in continuing forward on the path that you've set for our students at the high school, because I think that can be one of the highest honors that we pay you, that we continue to go forward. And I know you're not the kind who, you are one of those who, when we are able to continue forward and help many of those goals that you've set, help us, that if we're able to go forward and reach those goals, I know that's one of the highest honors we can pay to you, and we've got that commitment to go forward and see to it that happens. And again, we just want to thank you, and I'd like to reiterate, I don't know what your shoe size is, but it just doesn't matter. But we're going to do the best that we can to make sure that we make you proud on how we've continued on.
Okay, the next, I'm sorry.
I have a concern.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to make the statement that I know that on October 14th, our last meeting, I had made some statements about the skating activity that took place at Romulus Middle School, which was on October 11th, the skating station too. And I know I put down there 8 p.m. to 2 a.m., so I just wanted to make the correction because everybody makes mistakes. I put down there 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. Actually, it was 8 p.m. to 12 a.m. So I wanted to make sure I made that correction. I'm always doing that. Y'all know, I'm the first one to catch somebody else with a mistake. So when I make mistakes, it's the only right thing to do to make sure that I put it out there as well too, and correct my own mistakes. Right. So I wanted to put that on there, and then I just wanted to make a statement about earlier today we talked about the ABM. I'm not sure that it came across very clear. I stated about the Better Business Bureau. I wanted to make it known the reason why I voted the way I did, which was I voted no on it, is because I wanted to do more research on the previous name of the company and find out about that in the ratings in regards to how Better Business Bureau rated that particular company at that time, because I didn't have that information and it was not listed when I looked it up. So I wanted to put that down. And then my last thing that I want to say is in regards to the summer tax collection. I just want to say that that particular item was very, very close to me. I am, as I've said plenty of times before, and you all know that I am definitely not a fan of having the taxpayers pay for the excessive spending of a district. I've made that known plenty of times before, and I'm making it known again. I apologize, even though I know that it's not my fault. I still would like to sincerely let you know from my heart that I apologize for what's going to take place. It is the discretion of the majority of the board. And just for the citizens out there, when that time comes around where you all can decide to vote for who you want sitting in these seats, I pray that you would exercise your right. Thank you.
Were there any other questions or concerns from board members?
I've got a couple, Madam Chair. I was waiting for that turn to come around, but I thought maybe I missed it.
I just realized that I almost skipped over it, so.
Thought I missed
Mr.
my-
Kudrick.
Okay. Couple things. One, I know this new company's gonna be coming in Friday, and I do go into the buildings, and I will be looking, and if I see infractions, I will be contacting the president and the superintendent, and hopefully them items will be addressed. I'm not gonna go to everybody else in the district. I'm gonna contact you folks, because that's what I'm supposed to do as a board member. I would hope that residents of the community, parents that go into the building and see this, they do the same thing. Contact us and let us know. 'Cause I have a hard time with this. I know principals are in here, some of the custodians and staff members. Maintenance have done above and beyond the job. I'm not gonna grandstand on something, but I just heard of an incident just recently. I'd like to see one of the $9 an hour custodians do what somebody did for one of our administrators here. I doubt that's gonna happen. Another thing, there was a note in one of our weekly updates about a security going out for bid, that it's gonna have board approval. I don't see that on the agenda. What happened? Everybody's got silence.
No.
No, there
No,
was,
which
There
one?
was something on there that says they were gonna send out a bid, getting it approved.
That was voted on
Yeah.
that was voted on a long time ago.
Okay.
all they did was put
But
their.
that was in the DEP for 13-14, not, I mean, it was for
They
next
were-
year, not this year. And if that got moved up, we need to move everything else up too on that DEP. Third, I'd like to see the entire board, or at least majority of the board, agree with this, is to bring all the central office contracts, to reopen them, due to the financial state of the community, or a district, sorry about that.
I can support that.
Is that something, can we open up your contracts?
You have a contract with anybody that you have an individual contract with, you have a contract for the duration of that contract. You can ask them to open it, and they can say no.
Well, based on information that we received from our attorney last year, under the circumstances of financial distress of the district, we're allowed to do that. So maybe we need to touch bases with our attorney to find that out.
Perhaps.
But
We need to find that
definite-
out. We need to talk about that too,
Because
some more to see where
community
we are
members that gave
legally.
up, people in this district gave up 20+% and lost their job, and we got other people that gave up 10 and 12% and still working. It's not fair.
Okay.
That's my-
I'm
I'm done.
Yeah.
my 2 cents.
Yeah,
Mrs.
I,
Powell,
keep
do you have
going.
anything? No. Mrs. Buckley,
No, I don't have anything to say.
I do.
go ahead.
I'll start off happy. We went to a conference this weekend in Lansing for MASB, and I can say that some of the information that we learned there, as far as, you know, what we're doing financially, we are, first off, not in this alone. There are several other districts in the state of Michigan who are in the same predicament, if not worse, than where we are financially. I can say that we are on track as far as being able to get a hold of our finances. But I can also say, just in having conversations with some of the other board members who were there, there are some definite pitfalls that we're headed for. One being the fact that we have 2 administrators doing 5 administrators' jobs here in this central office. And if we're falling apart at the top, I mean, you would definitely feel it at the bottom. You know, and I hate to use top and bottom because nobody's, you know, better than the other. But when you are not handling things like we're supposed to, it definitely, something's gonna get missed. And we are already experiencing that, of things getting missed, and I feel like part of the summer tax collection, us being able to do the 90 days, was part of us having lost our business manager. We're gonna have to begin to start having discussions. We had 2 people lined up. One person dropped off and then another person dropped off. I don't know that we're gonna be able to even fill that position. You know, we talk about finances and that kind of thing, but, you know, I think everybody here, when you look for a job, you looking for how much you pay first. You know, I think it's a fringe benefit that you enjoy what you do when you go to work. And because people have bills to pay, they have mortgages, you know, the whole 9. And so we also have to take that into consideration. I do know too that people don't work for free. You know, and they want to be compensated, and you don't want to create an atmosphere where you are having people come in and pretty much just training them, and once they figure out what their self-worth is, they're gone. Because now they're going to somebody else. So you want to be able to make sure, you know, and Tom, this is not against you, but, you know, we talk about fair market value in these particular professions. Unfortunately, now the going rate for custodians is $9. And, you know, and I
What's the going rate for different administrators, if you know that, Ms. Funderburg?
here go, and that's the thing. But we always ask for that information here at this table. What's the going rate for those particular positions?
And that's why we put.
Let me finish. My goodness, that's why I said it's not against you, but we sit and we talk about what's fair and what's equitable across the board. But when it comes to certain areas, it's like we don't want to pay attention to it, and we talk about, well, that's not fair, or we get touchy-feely. And what I'm saying is this, is that if we truly are talking about being fair and equal, it needs to go across the board. It can't be lopsided. And I get that we're a blue-collar community. I understand that. But also I know that, 1, people don't work for free. 2, that if we're going to look at the market value, then it needs to be looked at for everybody. And unfortunately, now custodians are making $9 an hour. Now, here you go. Sometimes life ain't fair, but that's what they're offering. And what we were paying our custodians, it put us well out of what they are making now. That's just the way it is now. That's our reality. And, you know it ain't right, because people have to be able to live. It's not right, but that's what the reality is now. And we got to, we have to live with it and then make the adjustments.
You're right, it's not fair, but why are we going to pay the people to sit at home and collect unemployment now when they could be working for the district? Either way,
Here
we're
go,
paying.
and I
We're
don't know
paying.
what those choices are,
We're
because
paying.
for the
Well,
most
you just
part,
heard 20 people gone, only 6 people got called.
but that's their right,
Some of
and
them
we
it
can't
wasn't.
make that decision for them.
Some of them it wasn't their right.
And unfortunately, that's just the decision that they made at that particular time. And we just, you keep it moving. Back on another happy note, we have a bandorama coming up for our band students on Thursday, November 7th, 2013 at 6 p.m. at the high school. Is that in the auditorium? It's going to be in the auditorium. And just one last thing. I just wanted to say, Mr. Hurd, you are going to be truly missed. My daughter has a special request. She's like, can Mr. Hurd speak at our graduation, because we don't know anybody else? I don't feel they're qualified to make that tribute or that speech to us. So and I'm more than sure that a lot of her classmates would probably agree with her. But I'm just, putting that out there early so you can just mark it on off on your calendar for in June when they have their commencement, and we'll make it happen.
I mean, I'm honored by that. I would definitely do that, but I think it also depends on the
Right.
that follows me.
Yeah.
Because it would be their ship.
Yeah, most definitely.
If they're okay with it, then I can think of one or two things to say about.
You're a gracious leader. That's it.
And I have nothing, so I need a motion to go into executive session.
Oh, one more thing. I'm sorry. I have this in front of me. The kids made these for me for coming to their Lights On event that they had, and I just wanted to make sure I tell them thank you. I appreciate it. I really love coming to the event. They really work well together, and I like the idea that they can go there for homework, assisting with homework. They play games. They do poetry. They give the kids a chance to exercise their talents, and I really, really enjoyed it. So I will be back to see the high school, the middle school, elementaries, whatever you guys have. I'll be there.
And that's a program with Bright Futures.
Yes,
that's
Bright
sponsored
Futures.
by
I
Eastern
really
Michigan.
enjoyed it.
Okay, can I have a motion to go into executive session? There will be no action taken after the executive session.
Madam Chair, I make a motion we go into executive sessions for negotiations.
Support.
Motion made by Mr. Kudrick, supported by Ms. Funderburg. All in favor?
You gotta do a
Gotta
roll
do
call.
roll call.
I'm sorry, do roll call,
But,
Mrs. Buckley.
Miss,
They're asking for
Miss,
what?
Yes.
Mr. Cooter. I hear once I hear something in this ear, something in this, okay. Ms. Bowles?
Yes.
Ms. Crowe?
Yes.
Ms. Funderburg?
Yes.
Ms. Beard?
Yes.
Ms. Buckley votes yes.
Madam Chair, I make a motion we return out of the executive session.
Support. Motion made by Mr. Kudrick, supported by Mrs. Funderburg. All in favor?
No, you gotta do
Roll call.
Oh, roll call, sorry.
Mr. Kudrick?
Yes.
Ms. Bowles?
Yes.
Ms. Crowe?
Yes.
Ms. Funderburg?
Yes.
Ms. Beard?
Yes.
Ms. Buckley votes yes. It is 9:50.
Madam Chair, make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
Motion made by Mr. Kudrick, supported by Mrs. Funderburg. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 6-0. Meeting is adjourned. 9:50.